I started pulling up some vines. Hello. I hear you. I started pulling up some sweet potato vines. We haven't had our first frost yet, but it's almost November, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull some up. And I've already gotten 1, 2, 3, 4 different varieties that I planted. I'll put those up on the screen. That's actually a sweet potato, not a potato, not a garden potato. These just came up with the vines. These aren't the actual plants, or these aren't from the actual slips. I'll show you from one slip. This is from the first slip I planted. I got all these from one slip. I've never seen a sweet potato that big, and certainly not that big. I wish y'all could, I don't have a scale, but I'll find a way to put up on the screen how much it weighs, or at least maybe the circumference or something like that. Maybe find somebody who has a scale. But somebody got hurt on the trampoline, so I've got to stop, but I just pulled up a couple vines. You can see a little bit's pulled up, most of it is not. And when I have more time, I'll show you the full harvest. These I showed you before. These I pulled up with the vines. 4 different varieties. And I showed you this bunch before. Got some more purple ones. As you can see, well, you'll see in a second, most of what we got are purple sweet potatoes. But we did get some white Japanese sweet potatoes and some red ones, and I'll put up all the varieties. So here, just pulled up the vines, then got down on my hands and knees and dug up with my hands the rest. I did have to use the shovel for one of them. It was this one, I think. It was like this in the ground. You can see the part that was underground, the part that was above ground. It just was not coming up. So I had to dig that one with an actual shovel, but the rest I just pulled up with my hands. Some huge purple sweet potatoes. So you saw me plant these. I did not plant very many slips, probably a fifth of what I planted last year, maybe even less than that. I'm definitely pleased with the harvest that we got. I think the Lord is teaching us contentment, because all these purple sweet potatoes, we're not a fan of purple sweet potatoes. I planted them just because the darker the vegetable, the more antioxidants and nutrients it has, and so I ordered some purple sweet potato slips, and they just do really well where we are. So I think next year I'm going to have to buy some like garnet slips or something like that. We really love those. We love the orange ones. I think it's garnet is the variety. But we also aren't big fans of watermelons, and you saw how many watermelons we got this year. So I think the Lord's just teaching us to be content with what He gives us. So it's a good practice. But we'll find a way to eat these that will like them. So we are going to cure these for the next couple weeks, and I'll just go ahead and rake this area, and it will be ready to plant next year. So let's see, root and then fruit. So I don't know what I'm going to do here. I may do some melons. I do still rotate, because our garden is only in its 4th year. So I'm still trying to confuse the bugs. But I did want to show you, I plant sweet potatoes in new patches. This was tarp last year, and it was ripped up this spring, and I put some manure from the chicken run, or not from the chicken run, I'm sorry. I put some pretty fresh manure, actually, from the roost in the chicken coop. You can see the sawdust. And I let it decompose for just, like a month, not very long at all, before I planted the slips. And obviously it didn't hurt the sweet potatoes at all. But this is what I'm working with. Just red clay. That's what we have here. And so I really like to do the first year. Sweet potatoes are great at breaking up the red clay, and then covering it turns it into a better soil, and then the ground will be ready for other things like lettuce and tomatoes and melons and whatnot. So that's our sweet potato harvest for the year. I got ready to cure the sweet potatoes and I realized I needed to do an update, a video update. So what I'm doing now, I picked those pretty late in the day and they were still quite moist, and so I let them dry inside overnight, and so now they're dry, and now the next step is to cure them. And in order to cure them, they need to be in a warm area with some moisture. So how I do that is I put them in the back of our pantry, which is next to our refrigerator, and it kind of kicks some heat back in there. And then to get the moisture, I just put them in plastic bags, and it holds in moisture and it cures them really well. And then I keep them in the pantry for anywhere from 2 weeks to a month. And then when I'm done with that, I'll show you what I do next. So I went ahead and organized them. This bag has little potatoes. I think the biggest one is probably that big. And then I have my medium-sized potatoes. These are probably the sizes that you would get at the grocery store. Probably nothing bigger than that would come from the grocery store. And then I have my large potatoes, my large sweet potatoes, which are mostly all purple. I'll show you, for example, this is not even the largest, but this is one of them. And then this bag and this bag both have large sweet potatoes. And then these two, my largest, just since we're talking about potatoes, I am having to buy potatoes now from the store because I used the last of my potatoes from the garden. So we had potatoes from June until it's almost the beginning of it's almost the beginning of November now. So June, July, August, September, almost all of October. So we had potatoes fresh from the garden for 5 months. And then these, I don't know, last year they kept for a good 6 months, and it's not like they rotted after that, we just used them up within 6 months. This year is probably a third of what we had, so, you know, I don't know. I'm hoping they'll last us 2 or 3 months, but, I mean, we won't even be using them until probably Thanksgiving, because they need a cure. So, but I will keep you updated on these, how long they last, and that sort of thing. I also need to save some in order to start slips, but I will have to buy slips next year because I want more orange sweet potatoes. Those are my absolute favorite. So, anyway, just want to do a quick sweet potato and I guess regular potato also update, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.